what my haters say. I proudly rep both of my races today. I'm biracial and I'm proud. I'm biracial and I proclaim it loud. I'm biracial and no hate can...
Assalamu alaikum, YouTube. What's cracking? It's your Angrbiracial back with another video. Yo, I haven't been live in a long time, so I'm a little bit rusty at this live streaming stuff. But I'm going to give it a couple minutes and then let people come on and so we can dive into this conversation. This is not the live stream that I've been talking about on my community post, the one where we go into depth about reparations and stuff. This one is a little bit different. So I'm gonna give it a couple more minutes, let people come in, and then we'll dive right into this. Till then, enjoy this this song.
I'm not gonna be ashamed of the blood that runs through my veins. I'm tired of having to explain. I'm just the way God wanted me to be. Biracial power, I say it with all my chest. Biracial power, my fist is in the air. Biracial power, it's our time, it's our hour. Biracial power.
I'm biracial, I say it loud and I'm proud. Ain't no shame in my heart, I would never cower down. Look at me, we both got genes of slaves in our family trees. And you mad cause you came out darker than me? Abandon me with the non-black side. Treat me like an outcast, make fun and you chastise. Ain't no side better, telling you I had enough. Feeling stuck, half black, but say I ain't black enough. What? I would not be embarrassed, I did not choose my parents. And I love my appearance, I am black and I'm Arab. It's kinda wild how we treat one another. When it come to race, that's when people show their true colors. I respect you as a human, how you acting day to day. We look different, but inside share the same DNA. Man, this world can be cold, but I would not be defeated. My family doesn't get it, they don't see it like I see it.
I'm not gonna be ashamed of the blood that runs through my veins. I'm tired of having to explain. I'm just the way God wanted me to be. Biracial power, I say it with all my chest. Biracial power, my fist is in the air. Biracial power, it's our time, it's our hour. Biracial power.
حرقتنا في عيون فضائي وجه في بالي مزدوج أحلامي. عقلي في ملاهي من الأسئلة اللي تنادي. عقلي طرفي مقسومة في كل أيامي. عرقت جناحي للاثنين حياتي. أملي ليهم الاثنين تساوي. قلبي هم الاثنين بلادي. بين الاثنين مقسومة حياتي.
I'm not gonna be ashamed of the blood that runs through my veins. I'm tired of having to explain.
All right. That was that Biracial Power by yours truly, Angrbiracial. So this live stream, is gonna have two parts to it because I posted two videos and I got a lot of hate on the back end from it, and I wanted to discuss it. Right? I posted a video talking about have black men ruined reparations in the black community, and also I want to talk about biracials with white mothers and the suffering that happens, with that. Because I posted another video where I discussed, where I showed a clip. Well, I showed this clip. Let me show it. I showed this clip.
It's angrybiracial. Kangs just be kanging, doing kangly shit. They live their lives in ignorance and pain. Yeah.
I showed this clip and I got a ton of hate in the comment section, you know what I mean? And, it was mostly black men and white women coming in there saying, oh, you're racist, you're a self-hater. And I'm thinking, how am I racist for pointing out the experiences and the self-hate that comes into creating people like me? And I'm going to say 100% up front. the problems with biracials in America is not a black woman problem. And for those who don't know, I have a speech impediment, so you will see me or hear me stuttering sometimes. In my regular videos, I can edit it out, but in my live streams, I cannot. So bear with me if I stutter through some things sometimes, right? So you know, how is it racist if a biracial person is speaking about their experience coming from this type of union and how nasty they are, how foul they are, and the amount of racism that they endure dealing with this union, a black man and a white woman union. My mother is Arab. Well, she was Arab. She passed away, right? And so my experience was a little bit different, but but kind of the same, right? So before we dive into that, let's go ahead and dive into that. I'll do the other part later. We're gonna watch some clips because a lot of the white women came on there and said, "Oh, you're a self-hater," and what about love? Maybe they just love the white person, and it's not about self-hate. But I don't know. I gotta watch my tongue, but let's dive in.
One of the times a random ass white girl that you choose to knock up is racist, and so is her family. You're bringing a black child into this world with one parent that cannot relate to them, doesn't know what it's like to be them. They're a white person, not even a person of color. And when these relationships are based on fetishes, obviously that white person has no intention of learning about black identity or doing anything to be anti-racist or support their children. It's so frustrating to have to deal with constant racial gaslighting and erasure of my identity. The constant microaggressions too, but the gaslighting is definitely the worst. And there's nothing I can do but be isolated. Like, what am I supposed to do? Go continue to be around them even though they refuse to learn and be a subject of their racism? I'm not gonna do it. Stop fucking fetishizing black men, white women, and interracial babies. It's fucking traumatizing.
She spoke a mouthful there. And I played this clip that I reacted to earlier because it speaks volumes to what I'm talking about today. A lot of these black man, white woman unions are straight, it's straight fetish. It's a fetish. I'm trying to bite my tongue. YouTube is cracking out. It's a fetish because it's a lot of self-hate on both sides. Both are the trash of their communities. Black men are the trash of the black community. They're the leftover men of the black community. What's up, Alexander? What's cracking? And that's a sad reality, that and white women are the same way in their community. Not all white women, but the ones that get with black men are 9 times out of 10 the trash of the white community, right? And people like us are end up created from that union. Hey, what's going on, Miko Brooks? People who are created from those unions end up having a lot of issues. Like myself, my mother was an Arab woman, right? She never once identified me as an Arab. She never said, "This is my Arab son." I was always her black son. Well, I was always thrown into blackness. And it's crazy to come from the womb of a woman and that woman not claim you as her own race. And I know this happens with half black, half white biracials as well. They come from the womb of a white woman, and the white woman never claims them as white. And they just throw them to the black community and say, "Hey, you're black. Even though you came from my womb, you were inside of me for 10 fucking months, right? I gave birth to you. I nurtured you. But you ain't white enough to be part of my community. So I'm going to throw you to the black community and tell you that you are black, even though your lived experience is not that of a black person." Look, me being biracial and as light as I am, and my experience in America is not the same as a dark-skinned black man. I can 100% admit to the privilege that I have being a biracial person, right? When a cop pulls up behind me, I'm not afraid that the cop is gonna, shoot me. I don't have that fear. I'm not afraid of being discriminated against at a job. Have I had racism in my life from white people? Yes, I have. I've also had racism in my life from black people, predominantly black men. So it's just crazy, that we are thrown onto the black community. And then a lot of the confusion comes in, right? Is we are told that we are nothing but black at home, right? And this is not the black community's fault. The black community has every right to define what they want their race to be, and this is something that we as biracials have to get in our minds. You know what I mean? That we are not black, we are not white or Arab or whatever else we're mixed with. We are something different. We are biracial. We're a part of both, and it's fine to have our own group, right? But we're just thrown into the black community and told, hey, you're just black at home. And then when we get to the black community saying, hey, I'm black like you guys, even though our lived experience is different and we can't really relate too much to what a monoracial black person goes through in life. I know I can't really relate to them, right? And for me to come in there and say, well, I'm going to represent black people. I am black just like you. I can understand the indignation, the kind of, the upturned nose that we get, the face, this face, that we get when we go in there saying this type of stuff, knowing that we don't look like regular black people. And that's okay. That's okay. You know what I mean? Biracial people, it is okay to be biracial. We don't got to force ourselves on the black community. We don't got to get upset when the black community doesn't want to accept us as fully black. That it's fine. I will get to a lot of the comments later. So let's watch some more clips, and then I want to talk about reparations a little bit and how black men ruined it, how they ruined it by endlessly sleeping out and producing biracials.
Great if you did.
Hold on. Here we go.
I'm gonna say it because I'm frustrated. Can all the biracial kids with a white mom stop acting like shit's all peachy keen, please? Great if your mom treated you well. Great if you didn't have the microaggressions. Great if you didn't have the racism. We didn't all have the privilege. Some of y'all will defend white parenting to the death and forget about those of us who also had white parenting and are the victims of what everyone is talking about. Getting raised in anti-blackness comes across in many different ways, and I'll tell you what, it sucks. Especially when you're not raised black and you have to grow up and figure it out on your own. I'm not mad at anybody. I'm asking that we acknowledge that some white parents do fetishize black skin and do not recognize what it's like to be black. And they do not raise their kids to be black or to see the color that they are. Just smile and wave at racism and microaggressions too. Can all the biracial?
Sorry, I clicked the wrong button. This is something that's not really talked about in the biracial community. When we're having discussions with white people or about this, because it's hard to have these discussions with white people because white people are extremely sensitive to anything that involves race, and they're always going to say, oh, you're racist. Oh, you're talking about race, you're racist, even though it's my lived experience dealing with you. You know what I mean? But I've seen so many biracials in different groups with white mothers saying these same things, saying, that they grew up hearing bad things about their black father, racist things about their black father from their white mother. It's one thing. Look, I understand if a mother, if parents divorce, it happens, right? But if a black family, if both parents, if they divorce, and if they say something negative about each other, it's not going to be something extremely racist. It's going to be, oh, this person is a piece of crap. That's why I don't like your daddy, or your mama ain't shit. But they're never going to say something extremely racist that's going to make you doubt yourself, make you doubt your identity. Imagine growing up as someone who was half black, right? And you grow up in a racist family, a racist non-black family, be it white or be it Arab, and all you hear is crap about black people, demeaning things about black people. Straight out, KKK type of crap about black people, and that's ingrained in you your entire life. And then when you get older, you take on some of those same mannerisms, So I see a lot of biracials. Like, it took me years. I'm 40 years old. It took me years, like 30 years, to come to terms with my identity issues, to come to terms with the fact that I'm biracial, and then that's okay. But I see a lot of them that still haven't come to terms with that. A lot of them hate black people because of the stuff that they endured from their mother and then not being accepted by the black community. And this is I keep saying this because this is the type of thing that these black men, white women relations breed. Because 9 times out of 10, the black man leaves them. Most biracials in America have a black father. And like me, our black father was never around, or they never met our father. I never met my black father. I met my black side one time, right? And, so saying that black women, not black women, white women and black men create dysfunction, and that 9 times out of 10 when black men date out, it's because of self-hate. There's a lot of facts there. There's a lot of facts there. And it's not being racist pointing out those facts. It's not, I gotta bite my tongue a little bit. It's not being racist pointing out those facts. There are tons and tons of different biracials online that are saying the same thing that I'm saying. So when do we get that opportunity to actually listen and say, well, maybe there's something to this? Maybe these biracials with white mothers actually have something to say about this. Maybe they're telling the truth. But so many people, especially, black men and white women, want to fight against this. Like we're all lying, like we're all making this shit up because we're anti-white or we're anti-black when we're just speaking our lived experience. You know what I mean? And because of black men dating out so much, because of the face of blackness in America starting to change because of the self-hate, because of the dating out, it makes reparations a very, very hard and tough conversation. Me personally, I don't care about reparations. I believe that reparations should be given to the descendants of slaves, but I'm not holding my breath for it. And, I'm not going to stop my grind and doing, and doing what I'm doing in life, waiting on a mythical, magical check that may or may not ever come, right? But the reason why part of the reason why this discussion is so difficult is because there are so many people who have a black ancestor because of black men sleeping with every other race. That's why there's no black wealth in America, and there never will be, because all the wealth goes to non-black communities. All the wealth goes to non-black communities. So if reparations were given, right? Say reparations were given to every person who was a descendant of the slave trade, right? Most of those people will look like me or lighter, or they'll look like Mariah Carey, look like Rashida Jones. They will find a way to give it to people who look like me first, because, well, let me not say that. They'll find a way to give it to people who look like me first, and to keep wealth out of the black community. It will be wealth that will be given back to white people because, again, black men sleeping out, black men with their self-hate. And it's not all black men. I know someone's going to come in here, oh, you just hate black men. It's not all, it's not all black men, but it's enough. It's enough that it's drastically changing the face of black America. I'm from Arizona originally, right? I'm from Arizona. And Arizona, I grew up in there in the 80s and the 90s. It's a deeply red Republican state. And it's a very racist state, and there wasn't a lot of race mixing in Arizona. So there was a little bit, but not a whole lot going on, right? And so when I came to Ohio for the first time, I was in shock. My wife was like, what do you keep looking around for? Because like there's so many biracial kids and biracial people. It's the first time I've been around so many people like me, and it's by this time, in 20 years, the new face of the black man is going to look like me. According to studies, in 20, 30 years, the new face of the black male is going to look like me. And it's not because of black women. Black women are some of the most loyal women, race loyal women on the planet. And it's to their own, it's harming them because they're so race loyal. And as I said before, 90-something% of biracials come from black men in America, right? Yeah, Arizona is full of self-hate. I'm glad I moved away from that state, you know. But 95% of biracial America are born from black men. But I have a couple more clips before I really dive in. But a couple more clips.
Mixed kids with black moms typically tend to not grow up.
Hold up. There we
know
go.
what mixed baby needs to hear this, but it's okay if you drop your white mom. It is. There are so many white mothers who sit here and they have mixed babies and then they literally destroy us. My mom, ever since I was little, has been calling black women disgusting and loud and dirty and arrogant and ghetto, and for some reason she fails to realize that I am the same woman that she is talking about. She fails to realize that there's no difference between us. The only difference is the slightly lighter complexion. That's it. Y'all sit here as white women and you have black and brown and Asian children, and then you literally talk about us like we can't hear you. You talk about how we're disgusting and how we leech off the government and how we're not even from America and how we don't even need to have protests for things because everyone's created equal in the first place, but then you date white supremacists and bring them into our own fucking houses. And you expect us to be comfortable. I don't get how y'all can pretend that your kids don't hear you and then be absolutely baffled when they finally do. And they finally don't want to be around you.
Did you all hear what she said? She said that it's okay to drop your white mother because this is the type of racism and pain and hurt that a lot of half white, half black biracials endure and they go through. I went through some similar things with my Arab side. I did a whole other video on there. I'm not going to go too far into that here, but it's the same thing. They act like it's not going to hurt us when they say these racial things. They act like we're supposed to just agree with them and nod our head and forget that when we look in the mirror, when we see ourselves, we know that we don't look like them and we look more like the black people that they are talking about. Just because a white woman fetishizes black men and sleeps with black men doesn't mean they're not racist. It doesn't mean that they don't hate black societies just because they fetish. Here's a good point. You know who else fetishized black women? Slave owners. Slave owners fetishize the shit out of black women. And they also raped black women. But they still hated black women and black society. Slave owners also raped black men. You know, so I get tired of seeing all these white women saying, I'm not a racist because I have a biracial child. That doesn't mean shit. That doesn't mean shit to me or anybody else who's biracial or who's black or who understands this dynamic. You know? It's like, we'll start out. I get tired of hearing that. And I get that a lot in the comments. You know, oh, I'm not racist. My daughter is biracial. But let me talk to your daughter. You know, let me see what your daughter has to say about growing up with you, your half black daughter, you know, that came from your womb, but you still don't identify as white. As a biracial, it makes us feel like trash, like pure trash, to know that the mother that we came from, the womb we came from, essentially just throwing us away. You know, you're not part of my community because you're not pure. But then they expect the black community to accept us, even though we're not pure black either. You know, it's just like trash.
Black moms, I got you for a minute. Sit this one out. Hey, yo, white moms, stop having biracial kids. You is funny as fuck to run your mouth all over this app talking about that. Knee slapper, can we talk about how my granddaddy disowned my mom after she had the first of us? Can we talk talk about how my own mother called me racist towards white people because of Breonna Taylor. At least the black mother would have known how to do my hair properly and given a shit. I am definitely not the prize to the skin fetish you had with my father. You know, at least the black mother would not have invalidated any experiences I had in school with being bullied for my skin color or for looking the way I look. I feel like my black mama would have come up and beat a fourth grader's ass when they called me the N-word. Stop worrying about black moms. They are not failing with the biracial kids as much as you are, okay?
So I grew up with a woman.
And I can 100% agree with that. You know, like I've said it before that I wish that I had a black mother. You know, I wish that my mother was black instead of my father. You know, I love being biracial. Let's not get twisted. I'm a very proud biracial man. You know what I mean? I wouldn't trade that in for nothing. But I wish I had a black mother, because I wouldn't have had so much of the confusion, so much of the identity crisis, so much of the racism, and no black foundation there to help me combat it and make me feel more secure in who and what I am. You know what I mean? I had to figure that out for myself. If I had a black mother and my dad's side of the family called me the N-word, or told me to go back to Africa, or said something about my hair, or called me a racist slur, I know that I can come to my mother and she would understand, that she would stand on business, that she would go and deal with it. But a lot of us as biracials with black fathers, we don't have that. We don't even have a black father. 9 times out of 10, he's not even there. We have no black foundation, none at all. So all we know is the white side of our family, the Arab side of our family, and the pain, the trauma, the racism that we endured, and no foundation to help balance that out. So we end up growing up and being fucked up. For the look, I used to be a really, really hate myself, you know? I used to really hate myself. Like, those who don't know, haven't read my book, I used to be a really bad cutter. I used to cut my wrist a lot, because I didn't know any other way to deal with this stress. I didn't know any other way to deal with not fitting in, with the depression and a lot of the stuff that I went through. I used to just cut my wrists, and it was just, I don't know, I don't want to talk about that, but it was just a frustrating time to not have any foundation, to not feel like you didn't fit in anywhere, because my piece of shit father, you know, did what he did with my mother who wasn't the best person at all, but did what he did with my mother, and then just leave. And here I am not knowing who the fuck I am. You know, for the longest time, I didn't even know if I was black. You know, I was like, am I like who's my father? You know, I look black. You know, I have this. When I was younger, I show pictures of me when I was younger, so clearly I was black. But because I didn't have that foundation, I grew up in white group homes. I grew up around nothing but white people. It really fucked me up, man. It just sad. But let's continue, man.
My mom, who did not care, like, she'll let me run around like looking musty, dirty, did not help me with my hair, did not do none of that, did not discipline me, nothing like that. She let my white side of the family put relaxers in my hair, straighten my hair whenever they wanted to make it look better. Told me that I could not go to the high school that I worked so hard to get into because the black girls there would be jealous of me and want to fight me all the time. She'll say things like, oh, it's so ghetto there now because of those people. Oh, those black people make that restaurant so ghetto. Da, da, da. Like, seriously? She also makes very passive aggressive, like, racist stereotype comments about black people. And honestly, it just, like, it hurts my heart, because it's like, how could you have raised 8 black children and then have a biracial child and you proceed to still have these notions on black people and you proceed to talk like this and act like this? It's crazy to me. And 9 times out of 10, it's always those white moms who are like, oh, I'm not racist. It's not me. I'm not one of those white people. I have black children. That are the racist ones.
That's 100% facts. I just said that. It's always them in the comments saying, I'm not racist. I have a black son. I have a black daughter. I date black guys. I'm not racist. But 9 times out of 10, they're the most racist ones. And we grew up ingesting that shit. Look, I talked about my grandmother, my Arab grandmother. She had a black dog, right? And she named that black dog the N-word. She was like, come here, N-word, because that was the name of the dog. And I would look at her, I was like, Grandma, why, I'm half black, right? Why did you name the dog that? And she would laugh it off and say, well, you're not like them. But still, it offended me because I've been called that. That's half of my culture, half of who I am, and you're naming your black dog the N-word and think it's funny. Her and my uncles would laugh when they'll say a lot of stuff about the dog, like go fetch N-word dog, because name the dog, I don't want to say it, but they name the dog the N-word. And they'll just have the time of their lives around me saying that. I know that I wouldn't have to deal with that, if I grew up with my black side of my family. There'll be some other issues, but it wouldn't be that shit. A lot of white women in white society have this ingrained superiority complex, this ingrained thinking that they are better. And every time you bring up anything about race, they want to get online and say, oh, it's not me. Oh, you're the racist one. It's beyond frustrating.
Biracial kids with the white moms are the most problematic.
No, but can we talk about how us biracial folks, that's me, with white moms can be the most problematic, because a lot of times our white mothers will expect us to take on identities that reflect their own, because the sacrifice of motherhood is so severe that they kind of want their biracial black presenting children to reflect their white experience. And I think a lot of folks like me, frankly, are just unwilling to challenge their mothers and say, like, I love you, but you are wrong. I love you, but my experience is different. And I love you, but I refuse to carry beliefs that are going to be violent towards other members of the black community, because I love my blackness too much to hold those beliefs, right? And that will cause like a rift with some family members, and has for me, but I would never take it back, because I don't want to be one of those people who holds us back.
So I also have a
that woman spoke some good points there. A lot of us don't feel comfortable confronting our parents on this topic. It's like, I never, how do I say this? For those who know my story, my mother was not really in my life too much, and when she was, it was very problematic. But still, I never felt comfortable confronting my grandmother too much on this stuff, because I'm like, this is my family. This is all I have. I don't know my black side, so I don't want them to kick me out, So a lot of us, that I feel that's the same for those who have white mothers too, is like, they don't feel comfortable. Like, no one really feels comfortable confronting their parents and telling their parents that they're wrong, especially, as a kid. When you get older, yeah, it's whatever, I'll tell you you're wrong. But when you're younger, it's like, how do I tell my mother that she's racist? How do I tell my mother that I'm offended by the things that she's saying? How can my mother that gave birth to me, knowing that I look different than her, that my hair texture is different, that my skin tone is different, that these things are wrong? How can she not understand that? How can she feel this type of way and say this shit around me, knowing that she slept with a black man and I'm the product of that? It's a very hard conversation to have, and that's why a lot of us just ingest it and we just push it down in there. And I also get this, and this is also why a lot of black men, mostly black men, come on my channel and they say, well, how come you don't got that same smoke for your white side or your Arab side? And this is why we don't feel comfortable talking to our parents about this. Like, how many people feel comfortable, like, in the audience? I mean, maybe now that you're an adult, but when you're a kid, how many people felt comfortable pointing things out and telling your parents that they're wrong or something. You know, I know that then I didn't feel comfortable. I was afraid that my grandmother and my uncles would beat my ass, you know, or they would outcast me, or they would just tell me that I'm being too much like my black side. So you need to get away from us until you start being more Arab or something like that. So it's an ingrained fear, you know. And again, it took me a long time. It took me like I'm 40 years old now. It took me till like I was in my 30s, damn near 30, to really feel comfortable being biracial and to start calling this out on all sides. Like I call out my Arab side all the time on their racist bullshit. You know, I call out white people on their racist bullshit. I call out black men on their racist bullshit. You know, and as a biracial male, the vast majority of the racism that I get from my black side is from black men. Black men, they want to gatekeep blackness, but they're the main ones diluting it. They are essentially fucking themselves out of existence. They are breeding themselves out of existence. They are committing ethnic genocide on themselves. You know, that they are doing their own Margaret Sanger eugenics on themselves by mass breeding themselves out. And then have the nerve to be upset that biracial men are taking over, but don't seem to understand where we're coming from. You are creating us. You know, we're coming from you. Your self-hate, the fact that you don't like to look in the mirror and see the black face looking back at you. So you get with someone that you know cannot produce a full black child, to make something that you can be proud of, to make something light enough that you can be proud of, but you end up hating. If it's a biracial male, you end up hating your male children because you know that we are going to replace you. And you know that you can't be us. And it's unfortunate. It's not our fault. It's not the fault of the offspring of the sons and daughters of black men that, you know, that we're here. And it's not our fault that they have self-hate. You know, we get blamed just for fucking existing by black men. I'm blamed for existing. Like, I can walk into any chat room, right? And look, say my name is not Angrbiracial, right? I go by my regular name, Jesse Macbeth. I have a picture of me up, and I'm on Facebook. I'm in a chat with other black men, and the first thing they talk about, we could be talking about fucking football or like a race or some shit. The first thing they bring up is the fact, well, you're biracial or you're mixed, aren't you? You're not really full black. So it's race is always on their mind. Always. The number one pushers of colorism in America, in my opinion, from my experience, is black men. You know? And if y'all been following me for a while, you see the hate that I get online from black men for saying the shit that I'm saying. You know, for speaking my truth, for speaking my experience. You know? Anyway, let's continue.
White mom, and whether or not you other half-breeds want to digest it and understand it and take accountability for it is the fact that having a white mom is different than having a black mom, socially and psychologically. When people say that mixed kids with black moms are different than mixed kids with white moms, they're talking about the fact that mixed kids with black moms typically tend to not grow up to be coons and colorists. And where do coon and colorist ideologies derive from? These ideologies didn't just come from nowhere. Who's teaching these kids these things? I'm so tired of saying it, but there are more racist white moms than y'all want to believe.
Know what?
And that she's also right there. Most of the most self-hating, anti-black biracials that you will see have white moms because they weren't grounded. They weren't grounded in the black community. They weren't grounded in blackness. They were raised hearing nothing but anti-black. Excuse me, I'm drinking too much soda. Hold up. Excuse me. They were raised hearing nothing but anti-black sentiments, nothing but their parents' racism being pushed on them. So that's how they feel. Like when I was in the Golden Sphere, right? I don't like talking about that because that place was fucked up. But I was in the Golden Sphere. I met I met a young man, right? He's he's an MGM, like multi-generational mixed. So he's not biracial, but I think both his parents were biracial, and they got with each other, and they had him. And he has blue eyes. He's very light. He has brown hair, but he was a white supremacist. He joined the Nazi movement. You know, he had the white supremacist tattoos all over his body, even though he has a large percentage of black in him. Even though both his parents are biracial, he has black grandmothers and black grandfathers. He was still a white supremacist. And I talk about it in my book, Am I Enough? A Biracial Story. It is on YouTube, so feel free to check it out. His whole storyline is just crazy. You know, I embellished a lot in that story because, you know, I had to make the story be a story, but it was based off of his real life experience of him being a mixed race white supremacist. And he grew up hearing all this anti-black stuff. He wasn't accepted by the black community because he had blue eyes and he was very light skinned, but he was accepted by white supremacists. They had a program where they wanted to breed the black out of half black people because their numbers, you know, their numbers were, you know, white supremacist numbers are going down, and white birth rates are going down. And so they figured the only way for us to really make up for that is let's invite biracials who have a similar mindset as us, who hate the black community for whatever reason. Let's invite them in, further indoctrinate them, have them sleep with white women, produce a child that is more white than it is black. And then eventually that keeps on. Our numbers will grow, and they will breed the black out of those half black men. He was part of that program, you know, and some of the conversations that him and I had behind the scenes, because I was picking his brain so I can write his storyline in this book. Again, his storyline is not 100% true. I had to embellish some, you know, as a writer, had to embellish some parts of it to make it fit, but most of it is. And there are a lot of biracials that have white mothers. They end up going the way of white supremacy. They end up having the same exact sentiments that white supremacists have when it comes to black people. So I can understand. It's frustrating for me because I'm more of I lean more to my black side. I align more with my black side. I disagree with some things because my experience is different. But, you know, I'm on board with my black side against white supremacy, against racism and hate. So I can understand why there's so much mistrust for us. But I'm just trying to explain where it comes from. You know, I can understand why some major pro-black talking heads will get online and say you can't trust biracials because they will grow up and then they will hate black people. To a point, some of that is true. I hate to admit it, but to a point, some of that is true because some are raised by just their white side, and they are indoctrinated to be, you know, half black white supremacists. You know, there was a biracial that came on to my post, right? And my post about reparations, and he said, I don't think black people are owed anything. None of us were ever slaves, and it's just going to set us back. You got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. All those same buzzwords that we hear from white supremacists. You know, oh, none of y'all were slaves. Pull yourself up from your bootstraps. You just got to work harder, implying that we don't work hard enough as it is, implying that we don't got to work 10 times harder just to get the same shit that the white people get or people that look like me get. Because, you know, facts is I do benefit from having a lighter skin tone. I do benefit from being biracial. It just, you know, and I hate when biracials say that they don't. Some biracials are in such denial about our proximity to whiteness, of being adjacent to whiteness, that we benefit from it, and we benefit from it in a way that most Black people never would. And it's sad, you know. It's sad, but I'm getting off track. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next one, and then I want to talk about reparations. Matter of fact, fuck it. Let's just go into the reparations topic. And again, forgive me. I have a speech impediment, but again, like most times you can't hear it. Then most times you can't hear it when I do my regular videos because I can edit it out. But this is live, so I can't edit it out. So my speech impediment is very apparent. So forgive me in advance for that. If you can't understand something I am saying, then let me know in the comments. You say, can you tell me? Yeah, I'll get into that a little bit later, but I can tell you that one of the main benefits is we get less time for the same amount of crimes. You know, I've talked to, you know, I've been to prison. For those who don't know my story, I've been to prison. I got in trouble 20 years ago for a fraud charge stemming from when I was in the Army. You know, I washed out of the U.S. Army. I washed out of the basic training. I was pissed off about some of the shit that happened to me in basic training. So I went all over the news and lied to slander the Army for what they did to me, right? So I ended up going to prison for a little while. That was 20 years ago. And I talked to a lot of different biracials, right? There you go. Thank you so much for just saying for the super chat. Appreciate you. Thank you for being a voice of reason. Thank you. I appreciate it. Anyway, I went to prison, right? And I was talking to so many different people, and a lot of them in there were they were biracial, they're mixed race, they were lighter skinned Black people. My cellmate, he just got out. He did 25 years in prison, right? And he never had any trouble before in his life, but he did 25 years because he ordered someone to be shot, you know, and then they were shot. But the person who shot them was a mixed race person, a damn near white passing mixed race person. The person who shot them got 5 years. You know, well, maybe he was snitching or something, but he got 5 years. And he ordered it. He got 25 years. A very dark-skinned brother. The same thing with drugs and crack. Sorry, my phone ringing. You know, the same thing with drugs and crack and cocaine. I've seen drug dealers, my skin tone, get a lot less time in prison than darker-skinned drug dealers for the same amount of drugs, the same amount of crack that they sold. You know, it's just crazy, man. It's just crazy. Sorry, my phone is ringing. So yeah, but let's move on to the reparations topic, and I will get into that a little bit later. So speaking about how Black men, God, my phone is blowing up. So sorry, forgive me. Speaking about how Black men have destroyed Black wealth in the community, in the Black community is going to be a controversial topic. But let's watch this video real quick, and let me see what's going on my phone.
This is Patrick Mahomes, amazing quarterback. That is his daughter. Patrick is half Black. He has Afrocentric features. He has curly, Afro textured hair. He may be light-skinned, but he looks like he is phenotypically Black or ethnically ambiguous. He does not look white. Patrick had a daughter with a white woman. His wife, his now wife, he had a daughter with her, and his daughter is white. So because of her father and her grandfather, she has African American heritage. She has Afro heritage. But the world will never perceive her as a Black person. She will never have to go through the struggles that are inherent to having Afro features like her father, Afro hair, and Afro darker colored skin. Even as light as Patrick is, he still has darker skin than white folks. So nobody is saying that she does not have Afro heritage, but her phenotype, the way that she presents to the world, her phenotype is white. His phenotype is black. I feel like I lost a couple people in the previous conversations, so are you understanding it a little bit better now?
So I wanted to talk about that as far as like wealth in the black community. Because of black men sleeping out, they create biracials like me, biracials like Patrick Mahoney. I can't even say his name right. Biracials like Holly Berry, and they end up getting with a white person. And then they have children. And those children that they have look even more white passing than them, look whiter than them. And if those children have children, the black of them will pretty much almost be gone. But those children can still claim reparations. And if reparations were given, they would get it. Patrick Mahoney's daughter would get reparations for a struggle that she never experienced. For a struggle, she would get paid for the pain and suffering of black Americans before her, even though she can never identify with being black. No one see her walking down the street would say, hey, that's a black girl. But she would still be owed reparations. And believe me when I say this, if it's ever given, it will be given to people like her and people like me first. And I'm not saying that, what I'm saying, because they don't want wealth in the black community. And since biracials, since they know that 9 times out of 10, most biracials marry back into the white community, they'll put that wealth back into their own communities. Like I wrote a book, right? I got 13 books out, but I wrote a book called America Through the Eyes of a Black Rebel. And I speak about reparations. I say, if I was a white supremacist, I would have been passed a bill to put, to give black people reparations. I would have said, let's give every black person $2 million, right? Let's give every black person $2 million, right? Oh, hold on, I'll address this comment. Well, I'm a biracial who married a black woman, and the way that genetics works, my kids came out looking more mixed than me. If you saw my daughters, you were like, they look like mixed girls, But my wife is 88% black, 2 black parents, and 4 black grandparents, all the way back. My wife is from Detroit, you know what I mean? So the way my daughters, you couldn't really tell that they come from a biracial man and a full black woman. But anyway, if I was a white supremacist, I would pass a bill to give each black person in America $2 million, knowing that white people own the vast majority of everything in America. So, and knowing that black men have a propensity to go shop and put white brand names on their bodies, they would go spend tons of money at Gucci. They'll spend tons of money and what are the other ones? Fenty, or I don't know. And those big brand names are all the rappers got, right? All the big brand names are all the rappers got. A lot of them will open up businesses that would fail. Hardly any would invest that money into the black community. All the money will be back into the hands of the white community by the end of the year. Hold on one second. Sorry, my phone's blowing up. Be back into the hands of the white community by the end of the year, not only from taxes, but because a lot of black men will spend it on bullshit instead of investing in the black community. And not to mention femicide. Black women would be at the most risk of this, because black men would delete them. They would unalive them for their portion of reparations. So if I was a white supremacist, I would do this, knowing that in a year or two, the black community would be a lot worse off because of black men. Knowing. Sorry, my phone blowing up. I'm losing my train of thought. Give me 1 second, y'all. I'm sorry about this. Okay. All right. Knowing that black men would do whatever they can to destroy it. There is no investment in the black community. There's no investment into black families. So if I was a white supremacist, I would make sure everyone got it. But here, I'm going to play something that something from my book. Give me 1 second. See if I can share my screen. I haven't done this in a while, so forgive me. Okay, go to ACX. Here it is. Here y'all can see this. This is like the background of one of my published books that they got published a while ago. This is the audio of it.
If I were a white supremacist, I would push for a $2 million payout to every ADOS. I would do this for several reasons. One, it would boost the white economy. Because I know almost everything in America is white owned. So the vast majority of their money will go to empowering and lining the pockets of white owned stores. Black people are consumers. If you don't own or produce anything, you consume. Sure, many will start a business, but they would fail because the vast majority of those businesses would be record labels or other dead-end businesses. A payout that big would also cause a lot of infighting. A lot of it would be spent on gambling, drugs, and trouble. So a lot would be spent on legal fees. Many would kill each other. Few would buy land and just sit on it. Even fewer would start farms. Not to mention all the taxes that would be paid from taxing every dollar that was spent. Of course, prices of things would go up, and so would the cost of living in what was once poor areas. In a few years, things will be worse off for the black community than before the monetary payment. But the best part of it is, white folks could claim that racism is over. They gave us our payment, so they could continue to torture, murder, and oppress, and there would be really nothing we could do or say about it. I'm not sure why white folks did not push for that during the Obama presidency. That would have been a perfect out for them. A black man apologizing to black America for slavery. A black man paying black America for the actions of white America, allowing whites to save face and to push an economic plan that would be destructive to black America, but beneficial to white America. We would essentially be trading in our fight for freedom and equality for a payout much smaller than what we are owed. We would be setting ourselves up for failure.
I wanted to play that because I went in depth about this in my book, where I essentially said that we would be trading in, Black America would be trading in. Sorry, my phone. Okay. That Black America they'll be trading in their fight for freedom and oppression for a paycheck. That after everyone got $2 million from a white supremacist society, after everyone said, "Hey, we got our reparations and all this should happen," if anything happened again, if a Eric Garner happened again, if a Trayvon Martin happened again, if a Breonna Taylor happened again, if a Sandra Bland happened again, and we try to talk about it, they would say, "Hey, we paid you. We were reparations. We paid you $2 million each. We in a post-racial society now, so shut up and take your money. Racism is gone." So I don't know. The reparations topic, how can I say this? The reparations topic is a difficult one for many, many reasons. One, Black men in America are not ready to have that type of money. Not all Black men. Again, let me put this out there. There are some good, entirely intelligent, highly powerful, highly proactive black men out there that can do some great things given this type of money. But most wouldn't. Most are out there killing each other. Most are out there killing black women. Most are out there diluting their bloodline. You know, for example, all the for example, the Dr. Umars and the Tariq Nasheeds, all these that have access to so much money. How come they haven't bought any of these abandoned cities? There's abandoned cities available right now that can be bought by any of these black celebrities, any of these black talking heads, and form a black city. Make a all black city protected by an all black militia, and start your own economic foundation. But no one's doing it. No one's doing it because they don't give two shits. Because all they're worried about lining their pockets. And it's crazy that all these black talking heads like Tariq Nasheed, you know, someone that's so pro-black, you know, that makes all these fucking weird documentaries all day. They're not married to a dark, unambiguous black woman. You know? If you follow them, like, well, when I was on my pro-black journey, like when I was, you know, at a time I was really pro-black. You know, I did a video about that. I was one of those fist in the air, you know, black power. You know, I listened to Tariq Nasheed. I watched a lot of his videos, a lot of his Hidden Colors stuff, right? But always fucked me up when I would dig deeper into their background, and none of them are really married to dark-skinned black women. They're married to lighter-skinned or biracial or white women, you know? And it's just like, how can you say that you are pro-black? How can you say that you're repping change for the black community, but the very foundation that you're trying to build it on is not black? You know? Like, if you're a man who says that you are pro-black, then you should be married to a black woman. You should be raising black children. Everything the very foundation of being pro-black, in my opinion, is black men, but black women raising black children and starting that foundation and building on that. But all these pro-blacks aren't. All these pro-blacks are sleeping with white women and creating biracial kids, and still want to try to gatekeep and say that they're gods and they're royalty and all the bullshit. You know, it's like, come on now. Here, let me drop the link. Let me drop the link if anyone wants to come up and have a discussion on this. Here's the link. But no, this live stream wasn't really planned. I was just getting a lot of hate from a lot of idiots on that post. So I want to talk about it and make a few points. That's the link. If anyone wants to come up and have anything to say about anything discussed today, hit it and let's come on up. One more second. My phone is blowing up. Okay, sorry. My wife, you know, my wife and her family, they're having this big party, you know, and I don't really like going to those because, you know, I am my wife's husband. I'm nothing really, you know what I mean? So I don't really know her family. You know, I know her family, but we're not really cool like that, you know? So I'd rather just stay at my house and chill. So I got the house to myself. I figured let me just do a live stream. So anyone want to come on up? But before that, let me get back to what was that lady, a sister that said, she said about what if a biracial marries a black woman? Well, I'm one of those biracials. I married my wife is black. She's a black woman from Detroit, right? And let me show you what our children look like. You know, a lot of people say, you know, a lot of people assume that because, you know, that if we marry back into blackness, and I even thought this, I thought my children would be darker. I wanted my children to be darker for a couple reasons. One, I didn't want them to go through the identity crisis that I went through. And two, hold on, let me cancel out this. And two, you know, I wanted to take my bloodline back in to blackness, you know. Let me cancel the screen sharing. So I'm gonna show a picture of my children, right? My children look just as mixed as I do, and it's crazy how genetics work. But again, like I said, I'm one of those biracials that married a black woman. Let me see a picture that I've shown before. So, all right, here's one. Here, all right, I'm about to put it on the screen. Here we go. I'm not sure if you guys can see. So these are my children. And if I can pull it up a little bit higher, if I can zoom in. There you go. This is my wife and my children right here. Oh, someone. Okay, someone's in the background. Hey, what's going on, sister?
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm good. Good to be on your show.
Oh, thank
I've
you.
li-
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I was going to say I've listened to you and I've watched your beautiful family.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. This is kind of like an impromptu live stream. I didn't really plan it, so I'm kind of all over the where parallel place in this one, but yeah.
Okay.
So what's on your mind?
Yes, I was listening to what you were saying and I totally agree. Um, yeah, so yeah, I totally agree with a lot of stuff that, you say. It's unfortunate. We do have, like you said, there are some black men that are truly, genuinely supportive of black women, but as a collective, they're not. I think it's a lot of reasons for that, but one reason is they are so attracted to patriarchy.
Yeah.
They invested into a system that they lose in all nine operations of areas in. But it's like, patriarchy is a pipe dream.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Go ahead. Sorry, I'm fixing my. Yeah, I agree. And especially go ahead.
Okay. Like I said, it's a pipe dream and it doesn't work. And anytime people, when you try to tear down their belief system, because as we're talking, a lot of the things you're saying, it tears down the belief system of most black males. It tears down the patriarchal belief system. So if you don't have something to replace it with, they will lash out at you. The replacement for the patriarchy, because we're going through a shift in consciousness. We're going from, a third dimensional system to a fifth dimensional system, starting. So the replacement for patriarchy would be a matriarchal system. The matriarchal system was the original system of this planet, which consisted of the melanated woman, melanin dominant energy, which ran the planet. And that's the way nature goes. Nature, it moves by the feminine. So when you see the black woman, in particular the dark skinned melanated woman, that's a representation of matriarchy. We're a representation of that the natural energy of the planet, which is led by the feminine. Nature is led by the feminine. To be big, to be strong, to be independent. That's the nature of the feminine. That's the nature of matriarchy. That's why you see a lot of attack right now on single motherhood in general, melanated women, American women, Black American women, because they're coming against the divine feminine. They're coming against the um, the um, the melanated woman. They're coming against the indigenous. So right now, you know, people like you, people that have an understanding of what I'm saying, we're building a foundation. A lot of people, they just want to walk in and things are already done. The man's job is to build.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
before he can protect anything or do anything, he has to build first. And a lot of people don't want to do the groundwork that it would take for the black community. But watch this. Once the groundwork is done, then you're going to see more people who now want to benefit,
Yeah.
off of us. The issue that I have is, as a black woman, there's so much combativeness to stop you from building your our system of matriarchy. And when we build it, now they want to benefit from it. The very people that try to stop you. A lot of people have a problem with the concept in their mind of matriarchy because people think when you have a system, they think of dominating, controlling, ruling, um, abusing and misusing because this is what you saw in the patriarchy. Really, it's not about that. This is a planet of polarity and duality, so it goes through cycles. We had patriarchy; it was a malevolent system. We're going through this shift in consciousness. Matriarchy's online, and it's a more benevolent system. It's pro women, pro children, pro life force. So, a lot of people don't want to listen. I think a patriarchy, we have associated in patriarchy, they associate dominance with masculinity. Dominance doesn't really have anything to do with gender. Dominance doesn't really have anything to do with controlling or abusing, you know. So, that's just some of the things that I wanted to bring to you, and say, you know.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I heard you on Alexander's channels, saying you and your husband, right? Yeah, it's the same thing.
He's in the comment section.
But real quick, I want to address this comment. My BM is white, so does that make me evil? No, it doesn't make you evil at all. It makes you a coon. I would say that it makes you a sellout. And your picture that you have right there of you got having black women on leashes is extremely degrading. It speaks volumes of your character and what you feel about black women. A lot of black men like you are willing pawns of white supremacy, whether you want to admit it or not. And people like you that have pictures like that and willingly sleep out, but yet want to have this pro black talk, should just keep your mouth shut. Because if you're not marrying a black woman, procreating with a black woman, then you're not pro black. So I don't even know why you came on my channel asking me this question with that degrading picture. So I'm about to get you up out of here. Anyway, I want to say something when you said about patriarchy. I noticed that a lot of black men would rather push a gender-based agenda rather than one that's based on race, because a lot of black men have no power in this country as a race. They refuse to build anything as a race, just like that brother Iceberg Pimp. He rather come onto a panel with a title that we have. He rather come in here and see the type of audience that we have that picture up just to cause chaos and destruction, and to try to take shots at black women instead of trying to build something, right? So men like him want to have a gender-based patriarchy type of stance because whether they want to admit it or not, they benefit from it a little bit. Because in the end of the day, oh man, I'm trying to say this without getting, YouTube is really cracking down. I'm trying to say it without getting cracked. At the end of the day, black women and women in general are still oppressed, and he knows that. I know that. It's just they just refuse to accept it. And it's crazy that the people that have the least amount of power in this country are the ones talking the most shit, the ones doing doing the most damage. You know,
Hmm.
just trolling. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's frustrating.
You know what? No, I'm not. Of course, I'm not a man. I can't say what. I can't. Say what exactly a man is supposed to be. But one thing I do know by observation, a black man is a man very different from a white man. What it takes for him to be a man is very different than what it takes for a white male to be a man. Um, they would have to not lead with their gender foot, but they would have to lead with their melanated foot first
Yeah.
as a black man, because it's the melanin that's the energy, that's the force, that's the gasoline that would then drive the masculinity. In order to do that, that's like picking up the heavy weights. I think a lot of black men as a collective, they want to keep the weight light, keep it easy. They don't want to pick up the heavy weights, but the end result of picking up the heavy weights is more muscle power, more muscle mass. So it takes more work for him to come out of patriarchy, because the system of patriarchy classifies the black man as a boy.
Yeah.
And he would have to step into his melanated energy in order to mature and grow up into being a man. But it's his melanated foot that he will have to step with, not his gender foot. And so so for him, operating like that patriarchally is actually backwards.
Yeah.
For the black man to operate in the patriarchy, for him is inverted. Um, a lot of times, I'm so glad that you have this panel, and that, as you know, I can come on here and I can have a voice, because a lot of times they're not going to listen to me. But I just keep my mouth shut. I just stay submissive.
Oh, nah, a lot of men are their egos are just so
Right.
inflated, and
Like the vessel that it's coming from. But if I mean, nowadays I noticed though, the men in the system, they're not even listening to the men. So I can't even say that. I noticed that a lot of men don't even listen to other men. They don't.
well,
It's just gotten so chaotic.
a-
They don't listen to other men of reason. They don't. So
just as this sister was saying, most are feminine. Most of
yeah,
these men don't know how to be men, don't know how to lead a household, don't know
right.
how to be a partner to their spouse. Like, I get called so much shit on the background, a simp, and so all kinds of the crap, because I talk about how, you know I don't believe too much in gender roles. Like, I talk about how my wife is not my slave; she's my partner. And my wife, she's a nurse practitioner. She works a lot of hours. And whenever I know she's about to work 4 or 5 days in a row, 12-hour shifts, I cook, I clean, I pack her lunch, I walk her to the car, and I don't feel less of a man for doing that. My masculinity isn't taking a hit for doing that. I do it because she's my wife. She's tired. I love her, and I know this stuff is what she needs, right? And on the same token, when I'm out there working, doing what I gotta do in my business, she does it for me. But it's always these these black men that have no power, that they don't want to build nothing, and just want to stay on patriarchy, stay on a gender based way of power. And most,
Well, so,
go ahead, and most are single. They want to come on here and talk about gender roles.
mhm.
They want to come in here and talk about a woman needs to be a woman, and woman needs to be in her place. But what place is that? Most men who are married, who have successful marriages for a long time, understand that no such thing as gender roles. If someone breaks into the house, yeah, I'm gonna come down there and handle business because I'm a man. That's what I'm gonna do. Not because not I'm not saying my wife can't do it too, but you know nine times out of 10 it's going to be a man, and the man's stronger, so I'm gonna deal with it. You know what I mean? And I'm not doing it because I feel entitled to my wife to give me access to her body, or my wife to be my servant. I'm doing because that's my responsibility. That's my duty. And I get I just get tired of these same men that don't have nothing, that they want to just base everything off of their them having a penis, and them being in some type of religion. They do the same thing with, because most religions are ran by the patriarchy. They're patriarchal. Even as a Muslim, that's one disagreement that I have with my wife's family, because we're different types of Muslims, right? I don't believe in the patriarchal nonsense that comes with a lot of parts of my religion. So I practice differently, and I see so many black men hopping on, the Hebrew Israelites, where they can have 10 wives, and they all got to be submissive to them, and they have them all living in some hut, you know what I mean, and they're all just impoverished, just for the fact that this is what God wanted to. This is what the Hebrewites and the Muslims do the same thing. I'm not just knocking the Muslims. Do the same thing. They have 5 wives. I mean 4 wives, all living in the same house. All impoverished, purely for the sake to promote the patriarchy, purely because they can, because they're a man. It doesn't matter that the woman is not happy. The woman has to be it has to be his helpmeet, his slave, has to be his cover, and it's just, to me, these parts of the religion, to me, is bullshit, unfortunately. So I excuse my language, but so I still consider myself Muslim, but I practice differently than a lot of other Muslims, because I don't believe in those parts, right? But back to what I was saying, that's why I think so many black men lead with religion and lead with patriarchy, because outside of that, they have no power to do nothing.
Right.
And as you said, it takes work, and to lift stuff up. It takes work. It takes swallowing your ego. It takes relearning relearning what it is to be a man, what it is to be a husband, what it is to have a family, in order to build something with women. And so many black men today, in my opinion, are in competition with women, because a lot, man, I'm not sure if I can say it without getting in trouble. A lot of them. Okay, if you look Atlanta, take Atlanta for instance. Oh man, I think you know what I'm trying to get at. I don't want to say it because they might deduct my channel, but a lot of people that practice that type of lifestyle happen to be black men. I guess I'll say it that way. But yeah, go ahead. I said I want to.
Yeah. One thing that I see too about patriarchy, patriarchy was the worship of the phallus. So of course it subjugates the worship of the life force, the worship of the vagina under them. So that was the issue. That's why women were subjugated under the system. I think people have to realize too, patriarchy, white supremacy is an inverted system. A lie is just an inverted truth. So everything we've been taught when it comes to gender, race, everything that we've been taught under the patriarchy is a lie. So you would have to uninvert your mindset. You would have to heal your mindset, um, in order to come out of that system. Patriarchy is like, what people need to understand. I think what a lot of men need to understand, that's just like the bottom. You could go so much higher, and you could have so much more, and you could be so much more without that system. The system in it of itself is a hindrance. It subjugates the people that's in it. I think that a lot of males, they're so busy subjugating women under the patriarchy, they don't realize they themselves are subjugated under patriarchy.
Sure.
It's in effect. So what do you do? Solution to this problem? You have to say, okay, myself as an individual, even though the system said this, and this about me, I'm going to rise above it. If anything, I'm going to change my mindset. Because we've all been programmed, we've all been conditioned under the system of patriarchy. And
Right.
it takes you to fight. You know, it's a battle of the mind. It takes you to fight mentally every day.
Yeah.
What is it? Take your thoughts captive daily. You would have to fight every day. So a lot of one thing about black people, we have the most work to do in order to free ourselves from the subjugation. And the subjugation starts in the mind. For some reason, black women, yeah, is it hard for us? Are all black women queens? No, not necessarily. But it just seems like we've been, when the smoke cleared and we realized what we went through, black women turned out like this, and black men kind of, I don't know, you know. Did some of them survive? Yeah, but it's not enough. The ones that are more mentally stable and mentally functioning, the black men that are mentally stable and mentally functioning, they need to be the ones that are leading the other men. You see what I'm saying? The men at this point need to be helping the men. So, patriarchy, there was a rejection of the divine, there was a rejection of the life force. And so they would have to fight to reconnect with that energy, you know.
I I want to go back to something you said about changing, that a lot of people have, to fight the patriarchy in men, that we would have to change our mindset, and it wasn't that. I'm not sure if you know too much about my past, but I was a misogynistic piece of shit, maybe 15, 20 years ago. I was full in the patriarchy, and it took a lot for me to come out of that, because ever since, I'm a kid, and yeah, ever since I'm a kid, I was told that, oh, don't cry like a little girl, or be stronger than that, or you hit like a girl, those things that we push, to
Mhm.
push to say that boys are better, but boys are stronger. And it took me having my wife and kids, well, my wife and daughters, to see the world completely differently. I, I
Right.
I'd look in the mirror and say, I don't want my daughters to run into someone like I used to be. That dude, I'll have to beat that guy's ass. That dude's my old self was a piece of shit, and it's just crazy that so many men, despite having daughters, despite having wives that they claim they love and do anything for, can't see that a lot of the problem is themselves and their own mindset.
Mhm.
And you're right. It was a hard fight, but once you get past that, and you open it up, then it's not that hard. It's easier now for, to, like, I don't even think the same way I used to think. I know a lot of my haters did a bunch of stuff on my old. I had an old channel from a long time ago. The whole Angrbiracial was doing this, but it it took a lot of hard work to get past that, to get to where I am now. And it's crazy that a lot of people don't want to put in that work. They still, and you're right, the patriarchy is losing.
It's
It is,
losing.
it's a backward system. And the
Yeah.
same, as you said, the same patriarchy that black men want to invest so much time in was started by people that called him a boy.
Mhm.
And they really don't have any power in it. They just, the only power that they feel they have in it is power over black women, which
Right.
they don't even have that. And
Yeah, right. And the thing is about, not to cut you off, they don't even have that because in America, black people in America, we don't have a sense of nationalism.
yeah,
So technically, a woman that looks like me, I'm not even a part of patriarchy. I'm not white. I'm not light skinned. I don't have uh loose textured hair. There's nothing about my aesthetic that is patriarchal. Plus, as Americans, black Americans, we don't have a sense of nationalism. So, okay, so my thing is this, because we got to be logical about this thing. Where's my position in patriarchy? Where's my seat at the table to even be subjugated under it? I don't have one.
Right.
Technically, I don't exist in patriarchy. And I'm so proud of that.
Thanks.
Okay. And the older I get, because I don't have ageism, the older I get and the grayer this spot around my head get, the less I'm like that system. And that's beautiful to me. So, how can you subjugate me under that system? How can you even compete with me in a patriarchy when I don't have a seat at the table? They can't.
They don't even have
Okay.
a seat at the table.
Right. They don't even have a seat. Now they think they do because they're a man, but the
Right.
system told them they were a boy.
Right.
So what type of seat you got at the table? A high chair? A booster seat?
Right. And this reminded me of something like, you remember the election not too well, it was a while ago. I'm getting a little older. The Barack Obama versus Hillary Clinton thing, right? And it reminded me with this discussion of patriarchy that that patriarchy is so strong, even in a white supremacist system, that they rather have an inexperienced half black male be the president over a white woman who was extremely experienced in politics her entire life. Because I heard so many men saying that if she wins, I'm leaving the country. She's not qualified to do all this stuff, but it's purely because she's a woman. So as much as they hated Barack Obama for being half black, they rather put him in office above a white woman any day of the week.
Wow.
And I thought about that. I'm like, that's just crazy. It's just crazy. They're willing to uplift patriarchy so much that they rather put a black person, a half black person that they don't like. They call them all kinds of names. They call him a witch doctor with a big nose thing. They call him the N-word. Told him to go back to Africa. As much as they hated him for him being half black, they rather have his biracial ass being the president than a woman. That's, I don't know. That's just, the idiocy of men who have that mindset is just baffling to me.
Patriarchy at all costs. I mean,
Right.
they'll
At all
they'll
costs.
unalive themselves for a failed system just because they thought that they could dominate. It's crazy. It's a dream never come true.
Yeah. Well,
A dream never come true.
I'm gonna drop this link and let me see. So, what else is on your mind about what are your thoughts on the biracial topic?
About the biracial.
The biracials and reparations. With that.
When you made the point about reparations, when you said if the reparations would actually destroy the black community, when you were saying that if we were given reparations as black people, more black women would be unalive for our poor. Yeah, I truly believe that. I don't think that um black people, I don't think in particular black men as a collective are ready for that type of wealth.
Yeah.
Well, we've already seen what they do with wealth. Magic City knows what they do with it. Stroke knows what they do with it. Okay, the dope boy down the street knows what they do with it. The liquor store knows what they do with it. So we've already seen what they do with wealth. Um,
Well,
the thing is, they'll build for patriarchy, but it just never. They'll build for that. They know how to build. They just don't build for the black community. And I think we're past that. I think as black women, they need to stop even asking these men. Like we're past that. Stop even asking them to do anything, and we need to work with what we have and go from there. As far as biracial people, when you're whatever your mother is, that's what you are. So the resources are passed through the woman. And a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of black men may not understand that in patriarchy, that the resources are passed through the woman. So whatever woman you decide to invest into, that's the community that you're investing into.
Okay.
Mhm. So whatever woman that you're dealing with as a man, it determines what system you're operating in. I think at this point too, it a lot of it has to do with just pure laziness. You know, the system of patriarchy has failed, and it's on autopilot. It's at an end.
Yeah,
A
it is.
lot You're forced to be more creative. You're forced to figure it out. Go figure it out. You're forced to come up with new solutions to problems and things like that in order to live, in order to survive. Government social programs have been coming down 10% every year since the
Right.
Bush senior administration in the late 80s. You can't rely on subsidies. If you want to get food stamps nowadays, you got to volunteer. You can't rely on that. WIC, EBT, they're not going to be able to rely on all this stuff. The question is, what are you going to do?
Thanks.
I know what I'm going to do. I
So,
already know. Because
sis,
I'm sorry.
speaking. Oh, go ahead. My bad. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt
No,
you.
no, no, I'm sorry.
Oh, speaking of that, like I had this in the background because you were talking about wealth and and I want to speak on that well as well. Like there are so many abandoned blacks. I mean, not abandoned cities out there. That you can buy today. Like here are just a few of them, right? That you can buy today. Some for 10 to 15 million dollars. Some for less than that, right?
Like ghost
And
cities.
huh?
They're ghost cities. These
Yeah,
are like ghost.
that there are ghost cities that could be bought, developed, and built to build something to build like a new Black Wall Street, to to
Wow.
to to build. I'm saying, but there's so many so-called black talking heads, black male talking heads. Like I named Tariq Nasheed, I named Dr. Umar Johnson, whatever, that have a huge following and they have access to having people donate tons of money to them. But instead of doing stuff that actually benefit the black community like this, buying a ghost city that already has everything that every other city has water, sewage, housing already there, a power grid, everything already there. Build it up, house your own people, pro, have your own black police force, everything you need to separate and be independently wealthy and actually start something that have generational impacts for black Americans, for black people. They refuse to do.
Right.
Like I recently saw that Tariq Nasheed raised a whole bunch of money to make an African American museum. I mean, how is that benefiting black people? How's it benefiting people of color? Having a museum when you can raise that same amount of money to buy something like this, like not long, maybe about 8, 9 years ago, I owned 23 acres of land, right? I was building something like like this on my land. I have lots of videos of it. I had farms up, I had houses up. I was housing black women and children, right? Teaching them how to farm, teaching them how to live off the grid, how to just it was a big, beautiful place. I called it Al Kibalon community, right? And I got no support from black men on it at all. I said I will pay you to come out here. I'll pay for your transportation fare. I'll pay for your hotel. Come out here and help me build this. This is something that we need for everybody, right? Everybody in the community. There's always an excuse. But who came out there? Black women. They came out there in droves. They donated money in droves, and it was built. Man, beautiful homes, off the grid homes, farms, everything. It was built because black women wanted something different, and they were doing what what black men should be doing as far as leading the march in protecting their community, right, and building something community, and they just couldn't do it. They just didn't want to do it, you know.
Mm.
And it broke my heart. I was like, I put in so much money here. I spent tens of thousands of my own money to do this, thinking, and, you know, and my wife told me that she's like, I don't know why you're doing this. Black men are never going to help you. I'm thinking, well, I didn't believe her. You know, I'm thinking, well, I'm like, well, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they want to build? Why wouldn't they want to, you know, separate from the system that they say they hate? Why wouldn't they want to be out here and farming, having their own wealth and having their own land? And then she was right. And I end up losing, or I end up selling the land because I was just so disheartened in it. You know, I sold the land to the black women that were already living on it. You know, said,
Wow.
it's yours. You can have it. You know, but it was just, it blew my mind, and this was my first real look at how that, you know, at how they don't want to build nothing, and how they are so, and how black men are so reliant and so dependent on black women to get anything done, because
Well,
without black, huh?
they don't want to see us succeed. They don't want to see us with anything.
No.
They want to use us as a tool, as a footstool to boomerang and slingshot themselves backwards into the system of patriarchy so they can fail, so they can annihilate their own selves. They don't see it that way, but that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, what it is they're okay with building a black. You know, the crazy part is a lot of them don't even want their own patriarchy. They don't even want their own patriarchy because they would have to take too much accountability and responsibility.
Right.
They're okay with having, you know, like a sector or a genre of what is it? Black excellence, black community, as long as I don't exist in it.
Right.
They want a black a black situation because they really don't even want a patriarchy because they, like I said, they would have to take accountability and responsibility and actually do the work for that. They want a genre, you know, of blackness that omits the black woman, a system where I don't even exist.
Mm. Or a system where they are the master of the plantation.
Yeah, and we would be picking. I would be picking cotton,
Right.
and white wife would be sitting on the porch in her sundress, sipping lemonade with her
Right.
whip on.
Yeah. Yeah, they want to be the new masters. They
And,
want black women to trade in a white master for a black one, essentially.
yeah, in a system that he doesn't even own or operate.
Right. There's
So
no power in it.
he wants to actually do better than the white man did under white supremacy, because the white man didn't even have it that good. He had to come up with the C notes. He had to come up with a monetary system. He had to build a Federal Reserve Bank.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even want to do that. But yet they want to subjugate and they want me to pay all the bills. The light bill and the bill.
Right.
It's crazy. It's sick. You know, it's not, is it happening? No. You know, one thing I'm also seeing too, because I live in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
And I work in the beauty industry. I'm an esthetician. And black women here, and in New York too, you know, as far as like the beauty industry, it's really, we're really thriving. We're really doing good. And a lot of women are opening up their natural hair salons. And not only are they coming up with their own salons, but we're also creating our own natural hair care products, makeup products. We're taking control and ownership of our identity and capitalizing off of it ourselves. You know, taking out the distribution companies, the Korean beauty supply stores and stuff. They're scared because we're making all our own products. We have, you know, spaces that have been developed by black women, which I love to go into because you didn't see that 20 years ago. going to a natural hair salon that caters to locks and natural hair, going into a place that caters to, all things, black woman owned, black owned, those spaces. Um, and we're creating spaces for ourselves. Then you see people that will come into the very spaces that black women have bought and paid for and try to dominate.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Usually, usually it usually black men, usually, and I'm gonna just say it, YouTube, forgive me, whatever. But usually you'll see a lot of the black homosexual male community come and try to dominate our spaces and then look at us like we're a roach. I was at a hair show, a very popular hair show for black women here. Not the Bronner Brothers hair show, but another hair show. And that hair show is ran, owned, and operated by a melanated woman. It caters to natural hair, all that. That's a space that we created. So if I go into that space that we created, I look like that space, I act like that space. I come from a lot of the same bloodlines as those women. The bloodline that I come from is included in that space. So if this seems simple, but it's not. Just something as what seems as simple as getting your hair done there. You know, I got my hair done there and I said, "Oh, I feel beautiful," because I hadn't seen my hair redone, retwisted in a long time. And so, why should I not feel beautiful in a space that was created for me?
Right.
And one of the guys that was there, he just looked at me with such disdain, such like hatred. It was really sad, but I still felt beautiful
Facts.
because I'm definitely gonna feel beautiful. You know why? Because there was a woman that looked just like me that created that space for me to feel beautiful in. She didn't wait for the white woman to create it for her.
Right.
She didn't wait the Asian woman to create it for her. She created it herself. And then said, "Hey, forget the distribution company. I'm coming up with my own product line too." See? And that's what we're doing. That's the type of stuff that black women are doing. Um, he doesn't, I don't even think that it's not that they don't know how, they just flat out refuse.
And they're
And
lazy.
to box us, they're trying to shadow box black women into manipulating us to give them everything that we have. Set up their nasty operations in our spaces. I see this a lot. It's just like when you had black communities back in the day, like Rosewood, you
Yeah.
had black. And when we were building those communities, they came in and destroyed those communities. White supremacy came in and destroyed our communities. At this point, like I said, we need to accept where we're at as black women and move on from there and leave a lot of that behind, leave him behind. He's already made his decision. He doesn't want to be, even, let me tell you something. You could be a black woman and you could be a billionaire and you could have a black man, and he's always going to choose something in patriarchy that he feels is better than you. He's never going to be satisfied with being with you because they want to be you. I think, the Bible talks about how the devil beguiled Eve. When we're dealing with, we can say the black man, but I think a lot of it is a spiritual thing, it's a metaphysical thing, it's a force. It's bigger than just the black male counterpart, but there's a force that's influencing him to go against us, that's even bigger than him. So no matter what, he's gonna go, it just is what it is. So he's gonna go against us or whatever. So, you just have to keep moving. You just have to keep moving, and those who support us, those who don't. But that doesn't mean that our system is not going to come online. I
Right.
see that. I have talks with a lot of black women in Atlanta and see all the great things that they're doing. And I always talk about, I'm like, man, 20 years ago you didn't see this. 20 years ago we didn't see that. There's a place in Atlanta I hold in high esteem. It's called the Center for Black Women's Wellness. literally across the street from my house. And I
Yeah.
didn't know that they have been there for 30 years. They have all kind of programs. They just got a $5.5 million grant for black moms having babies in the community. They
Okay.
give therapy because I talk to a therapist twice a month. It's free. I don't think there's anything wrong with talking to a therapist and, just getting counseling and things like that. These are free services that they provide. Um, oh yeah, that's it right there. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I love them. They're wonderful.
I'll put the link in the chat if anyone wants to check it out.
Anytime I need to go in there and talk to somebody, they're there. They know me. So it's these are the type of things that are happening that we're doing. I wanted to shed light on that. And I don't know how black women are doing it, but we know how to get money. They getting grants and all kind of stuff. I'm like, they had Earth Day a little while back. They give away free cleaning products. I mean, food, vegetables, fruit, you name it. I mean, just so many wonderful programs. And one thing I love about the Center for Black Women Wellness, I'm a spokesperson, I will say. I love
That's right.
they give a therapy session. You can do it on Zoom. You can go you can go to College Park too. It's a program called Odyssey, and you can sit down and talk to a licensed therapist. And all this is free programs. A lot of us are running after. A lot of black women are running after their mental health as far as healing their mental health. We're running after that. I know I am. And a lot of women like me. And 20 years ago, I mean, this place has been here a long, but you didn't see programs like that. I didn't know about it, but you're starting to see more programs like this. And if you notice, most of the are women pictures, but there are some men. You see, they're in there.
I
So
want I
I'm
want to.
surprised I'm not in it.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, you cutting out a little bit.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it just cut out a little bit. You
Can you
said
hear me?
yeah,
Okay. You can hear me?
yeah. It was just cutting out. I'm not sure if it was my end or your end. It just cut out for a minute. So you said
I was getting I was getting a phone call and I had to decline it. So that might have been
Oh,
what it was. Mhm. But yeah,
well,
these are the things, that
no,
we're
go ahead.
running after.
Yeah.
These are the things that we're running after. These are the fruits of our labor. Right there. So
Hey, I wanted to say something about you were talking about the black male LGBT community in Atlanta. What are your thoughts on this? I'm not gonna say too much because because of YouTube, but do you? I feel that the black male gay community um, is another part of patriarchy.
yes, it is. Yeah. There
It,
in Atlanta, there's a black male gay boule, almost like a network or a team of entities like that operate that are on a witch hunt after the divine. They're on a witch hunt after the black woman for our resources. And it's a network of them that operate, that watch us, that stalk us, um, in order to see who's the up and coming black women here, how they can come after us and take our resources. You know, though a lot of these males in patriarchy, they don't want anything to do with a woman like me or the women like what you see at the Center for Black Women's Wellness. They just want to use us as a tool in order to run our resources over to the patriarchy
as a
so they
mule.
can party and smoke their weed and have their fun. A lot of it is about the addictions, a lot of it I think they like the sexual operation of patriarchy because it was the worship of the phallus, and then it went down to the worship of the anus. And
But
they're addicted to those acts. They're addicted to that aspect of patriarchy. So that's why you see, you like, well, wow, even though the system of patriarchy is failing, why are they still, why are they still running after? Because, excuse me, why are they still running after it? Because they're sexually invested into patriarchy.
well, what I was going to say on that is that because I noticed that the patriarchy created. I can't say that. Hold on. I gotta be careful because of YouTube. um, what I've noticed is that there's been a lot of people coming out in order. I'm just picking my words here, in order to take over spaces and resources that women have fought hard for to have their own. And
Right.
I think it's patriarchy in panties. You know what I mean? Because women can't seem to, they can't allow women to have any type of power, any type
Right.
of money, as you said, or resources, without them having their hands in it somehow,
Right. And
some way.
I say everything allegedly just to cover myself.
Yeah,
Everything I'm
allegedly.
saying is allegedly is all BS. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just some ugly, dark skinned black woman. What do I know?
No, you're not.
But yeah, this is what I see here. They don't want us, I think that people see the potential, you know, black women for the past three timelines, we have won by a landslide. The statistical data proves it. And what they're trying to do is pretend and act as if our win didn't happen and then jump into your win that they didn't work for, that they didn't do anything for. For something to be so inferior as myself, you sure can use it as a stepping stone for your come up.
Right.
It's like if you're so superior as this male, why would you even need to use me for anything
Use you or your resources.
or my resources? You have to remember, they one thing about them, they look down on us. What you're not doing anything, we're doing everything, but the entitlement is so heavy and so thick. You're supposed to win just because you're you.
Just because you have a penis. It's
Right, it's
yeah.
thick. It's like they are epic all-time losers under that system. And even if they lose, they're supposed to win. They lost. The statistical data proves it. We won by a landslide.
I mean, I, you know, black women are not a $50 billion a year drain on the U.S. economy. You know what I mean?
No,
And Goldman and Sachs, I'm pretty sure you read this, invested what 2.1 billion dollars, I think more than that, into black women and black women owned businesses, because even a system of white supremacy recognizes that black women are that black women are b- work hard, that they do shit. You know what I mean? And
right.
black men that worship the patriarchy, they ain't doing nothing.
No.
So and there is no bank giving black men tons of resources to start black businesses. It's just I know I gotta watch it.
Right. And $50 billion a year annually in exhausting resources. I was thinking to myself, how are they doing that? That's a lot of money a year. I was brainstorming, like, how are they exhausting that much money? Well, one thing I think is government subsidies, because they have more children outside of the black community with other races of women than they do with black women. So those kids, non-black women are subsidized more. For instance, Spanish women, they're subsidized three times the rate more than somebody getting Social Security in this country. So because they're subsidized more, it's exhausting the system. When he goes and shares his sperm with all these other races of women. So that's one way that they're exhausting the system. Another way that they're exhausting the system is probably through, the subsidies that they were getting, because I think after what, the baby boomers, when, in the 70s, 60s, when they were giving out government social programs, they used to give people a check for anything. You could get a check for being fat, for being crazy, for being a drug addict, you know.
Right.
So that spilled over to now. Um, it costs money even with the jails and the prison systems. Yes, they make money off of inmates, but at the same time, it costs money to house inmates.
Yeah, it
You
does.
know, so it's a lot of different ways that he's exhausting the system, $50 billion annually a year. But I think those are some of the ways that he is. So the funny thing is, he's exhausting the system more than he's exhausting me and women like me. Because we don't, black women, we don't have $50 billion annually, because that's not our system.
Right.
Black women, yeah, we're keeping our head above water, but we don't have that. We don't dominate. We don't have a monetary system. So
No.
he's really doing their system more of a disjustice than he is us in that way. In that way. He does us just a disjustice, because one out of three of us are unalived by him.
Yeah.
But he's doing so. Our physicality is at a disservice from him, but financially he's of a disservice to the system. One thing about patriarchy, they're real good at making cuts. When they see that something is ineffective for their system, they will make cuts, and they will make cuts very quickly. So, regardless of how you think or how you feel. So, that's what's happening as well. When you saw, you know, during the civil rights movement and even after, when you saw black men dating non-black women, they don't get, the Gwyneth Paltrow's or the Reese Witherspoons. They get the Cocos and Amber Roses. They
Yeah.
were, they choose what woman that they want him to have, because they were making cuts. The woman he got, they made the cut. She did, so therefore, guess what? She didn't have the system of patriarchy.
Right.
He decided to leave the black community, which was the foundation for matriarchy. So neither one of them have a system. A lot of those males that refuse to link up when you owned your 23 acres, they
Yeah.
don't have a system. They don't have a system. So it was actually good that they didn't link up with you. It was the women that wanted to have a community. It was
Yeah.
the women that wanted to establish a family community, have a situation, a place to stay, a home, all of that. So what they're not realizing is, as they operate in patriarchy, you don't have a system. And guess who they're going to make cuts on next? Him. They've already done it. Maybe the pressure cooker, the heat is not hot enough yet for him. I don't know, but we can see it. But he does not have a system. If you link up with him, guess what? You will not have a system.
I agree.
The only hope right now for the planet is a matriarchal society. This planet started out as a matriarchal society.
Did you
You know,
think? Oh, go ahead.
1,000 years For 26,000 years, black virgin queens ran Egypt. How did they do that? Through parthenogenesis. They did that through a bartering system, a financial bartering system, and through parthenogenesis.
Do you
So,
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'll say do you think that's why the patriarchy fears any type of woman in power, especially the black woman in power?
Yes, I do, because they don't want us to succeed, because they feel that it's going to make them look bad. No, you make your own self look bad. I think that they don't. One thing about black women, we I think what I've grown up with all my life, it was the potential I have um to succeed. They're scared. a lot of they're scared because women like me, we have it's the potential that we have to go further than them, and they want to stop it, but they can't. They don't even have a system to do it. They don't even build their own patriarchy. What you gonna stop me with?
So that they can't build nothing. They can't
They
even
can't
build
do
a successful, community on YouTube without anyone fighting and
no,
attacking each other.
no. And I mean, right. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, sister. Go ahead.
Okay. Another thing I want to say too, what I see a lot of these men saying for so long, I've seen a lot of black men saying that they have all these options in women. Let me tell you something. That's not true. Due to the fact that they're now in the worship of the anus, the only options that they have is a transgender and a homosexual male. They don't have any options when it comes to women. They don't have any options
If you
because that's
notice,
the
oh, go
agenda
ahead.
that they have. And those are the entities that match that agenda.
If you notice, I'm not trying to bash on these women, but if you notice the type of women that they get, they're non-black, and they try to uplift and highlight as their European queen, are normally and normally the undesirable women that the men of their community didn't want. So they're essentially
Mhm.
digging in the white man's trash. That's kind of harsh, but essentially digging in the white man's trash to uplift. I mean, to get their leftovers as and trying to say that this woman is better than the black woman. It's crazy how they act like that. They'll pass up a beautiful black woman for a 500-pound milk of magnesia. It's
Yeah.
crazy to me. Just to have a little bit of access to to whiteness and the pay and the white patriarchy that they are barred from. Yeah.
Yeah, it's clownery.
Yeah.
It's sad. It really is.
Well, I'm going to be shutting this down, pretty soon. I'm getting ready to log off. My wife's on her way back from a little thing, so I gotta get back to it. But I appreciate you so much coming on here. I want to have you on some more because I learned a lot from you today about the matriarchy and how things are changing. I didn't, so I like to have a conversation with you some more. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I learned so much from you. I watch you all the My husband and I, we watch you all the time. Thank you so much for your channel.
Thank you.
And I met Alexander. I kind of met him through you because he has a channel. So yeah.
Well,
Thank
is
you.
there anything you want to say in closing?
Um. Well, yeah, I'll say something. Well, thank you so much for having me on the panel. I want to thank everybody for in the comments section for listening to me. And for giving me a voice. For so many years, I didn't have a voice. And all these different downloads and epiphanies that are brought to me is not me, but it's the Holy Spirit. I have a lot to say, and I want to just share my thoughts and the blueprint and um the the structure for the new system that's coming online. And I wouldn't even say new system, an ancient system. We're going back to natural. We're going back to divinity. We're going back to the natural homeostasis of this planet, which was matriarchy. And so, you have women like me that are getting the downloads for this system. And I'm just here to share, everything that I know. And hopefully I can just be, I can help. Oh, excuse me. Hopefully I can help and give people, an answer to the unknown question, to the known questions, and even the unknown questions that they may have. So thank you so much for your channel. If it wasn't for people like you, I wouldn't be able to do this.
I I, I appreciate you and your wisdom. I definitely want to. I want to do like a full live stream where we talk about. I want to be a little bit more prepared because I wasn't really prepared this time. But a full live stream with you where we talk about the reset and the matriarchy. I'm really interested in that, and so I want to write down some questions and some stuff and do a little bit of research on it. And um, I will shoot you my email, or how will you send me an email, angrybiracial@gmail.com, so we can plan this. I think everyone would enjoy that.
Angrybiracial@gmail.com.
Yes.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do that.
Because you have a lot of wisdom on this, and I would love to pick your brain on this and actually have some actual prepared questions so we all can learn from it.
Okay.
All right. But thank you so much, sister. I appreciate you, and thank you for everyone that joined in today. Sorry, this panel was all over the place. I wasn't prepared for it. It was a last minute panel that I wanted to do because I don't get a lot of time when my wife and kids aren't home. You know what I mean? So I said, let me hop in and talk to everybody today. But so yeah, I appreciate y'all. Thank you for tuning in. I do have another panel planned where I'll talk more in depth about reparations, and I have a lot of different panelists that are coming on. There'll be I have a couple of biracials. I have a couple of black men, couple black women. I also have a white woman who's the mother of biracial children, and we're going to have this discussion of reparations and black wealth. So I'm still planning that. This live stream was not that. It was just, again, the impromptu one. But as soon as I get all the panelists together for that, I will set it up and I will announce it. I'm still waiting on some couple emails back. But so thank you guys. I love you guys. And, my channel is what it is because of you guys. And I'm glad, and I appreciate you guys' support. And me and my family love you so much.
All right.
I'm going to log off.
Okay,
Peace.
thank you.
Oh,
bye.
It's angry biracial.